Okay, we'll get started. Om. 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Does anybody want to start? Meena?
Yeah. Om Partaya Pratibodhitham Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Krititham Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitam Vridavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashatyayinim Ambatvam Anusandadami Bhagavad Gita Bhavad
Swarnam, you muted.
नमस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः।
Jayashree?
वसुदेव असुदं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्.
Who wants to do it?
Sarvadharman pradhyagya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papepyah mokshayikshami makshtuchah.
Very good. So last week, we just started with chapter 13, and we had started with these questions of how are we leading our life. And this is very important because sometimes, we tend to lead our life in a very mechanical way, in a very, as a robo. And now with artificial intelligence doing so much more for us, literally, we have to seriously think, where is this leading to? Uh, what is my purpose really of life, and how am I using this physical body, mind, intellect, right? And with this, also we need to think of what kind of experiences. Today, when we think of our experiences, we think about experiences in very two simple terms. I mean, we can say, of course, I was excited in this experience. I learned something. My mind was serene. My mind was calm, all that. But ultimately, it really shows that the kind of experiences we go through are the ones which either make me happy, and happiness is of different gradations, or is it something that is making me kind of, I'm not satisfied, I'm not fulfilled, or to an extreme, also maybe I'm really in sorrow. So these are the only two kind of experience. Either it is dukkha nivritti or sukha prapti. Correct? So this is how we are. But all this, we are looking for a stability in ourselves. Because I think by now, by 13 chapters, we have recognized that there is something within me which can help me understand who I am, and how, no matter what just like the log which goes, in the ocean up and down, I know that I have uh, a situation within myself where I can be stable. So that is what we are looking at as happiness, as that stability of mind. And then now comes deeper questions of really, who am I? What do we think about ourselves? And who do I think I am? Now, these questions again, going back to the first question, how are we leading our life? Based on that, this number 4 and number 5 can change. So, if I think I am a particular rich person with a certain amount of wealth and cars and company and all that, I will constantly be identified only with that, and that is how I would be leading my life, going through experiences and going through all the ups and downs. But if I think that that rich aspect which I'm leading with is only something which is today, tomorrow it may be something else, then I will be more connected to my inner self. So, what do we think about ourselves? Who do I think I am? Is really the most critical questions we want to think about. And that is why chapter 13 is very important, because it connects with chapters, the first 6 chapters, where Arjuna, because he thought he was a warrior, because he thought that he's a father, because he thought he's a brother, he went through so many experiences. But by the end of the 6th chapter, Krishna reminds him that he is none other than that Atman, right? So that is what we did. And then, of course, the next 6 chapters was, if I am Atman, what is my relation to God, Ishvara? Who is that Ishvara? How am I connected to that Ishvara? So, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. That's the triad that we always like to look at. So, Jiva, who am I? How am I connected to Ishvara? And what is the connection? So this is where chapter 13 really comes into play. And chapter 13 has actually only 34 verses. But one verse has been added later, and when we come to the actual shloka itself, we will talk about that. So we went through quite a bit of an introduction, so I won't go through all the Tattvamasi aspects. Like I said, it is about the nature of Ishvara, and this is Tat and meditation, which is the 6 from 7 through 12. And then now we are coming to this aspect of Asi, or where we are trying to establish a connection, or what we call this is an Aikyam. Jiva, Ishvara, Aikyam. The essential oneness. Asi meaning the essential oneness of the Jiva with Ishvara. So, this is what we are trying to address moving forward today in the first 2 shlokas here. So, Jiva Ishvara Swarupa Aikyam, starting with Tvam, which we did. What is the relation with Tvam, Tat, and Asi? And here, this is where we actually kind of got into it by saying that in order to understand this relationship of me with everybody in the world, and to the fact that ultimately the essential oneness, we can use this example of a wave and an ocean here. So if I look at this ocean has these waves which are constantly being born and constantly dying, right? So the wave is always temporary. Now, ocean, on the other hand, is really vast. The wave itself is very small here. So, what causes the waves? It is nothing but that ocean, correct? Ocean is the cause, and the wave is the effect here. And this wave is also temporary. So if we can, and if we go one step further, if ocean is the one that is really giving it the substance, then the question comes is, what is the substance in an ocean? So obviously it is H2O, correct? Water. That is the thing. So we need to, when we look at, like even if you go to Lake Michigan or the beach, the first thought for us is not that it is water. We only look at the vastness, we look at the amount of waves that is coming in, everything, right? So too, the way we lead our lives in this world today is, I don't necessarily look at this entire world as Ishvara. I look at this world today as something where I can gain my happiness or sorrow, right? So 13th chapter will start to take us into that aspect where I need to shift my focus. I need to change the way I look at the world. I need to change the way I start to interact with the world. So that is this aspect of what we are trying to see is Tvam Tat Asi. So that part of it is I need to look at it. So Tvam Tat Asi, we need to understand that focus is on Ishvara. Focus is on that Brahman. Up to chapter 6, if we learned what is Atman, the bigger aspect of what Atman is Brahman. So this essential oneness is what we are coming to. And so Jiva Paramatma Swarupa Aikyam. Jivatma, which is individuals, Paramatma, which is the entire, the Lord in the form Paramatma, that Lord which is there everywhere. Okay. So this is the first topic of starting with, we will see. And what is the relation of that Swarupa, which is, the part of it. The second topic which you will see coming up is that it really starts to give us a kind of a sadhana. Okay, the sadhana which we really need to practice in order for us to be able to get over not just big problems but even smaller problems. That part of it also we can really understand just by looking at this beautiful ocean and the wave example. How so, you may ask? What is really the ocean? How can that help me? So when I look at this ocean or Lake Michigan or whatever, I see that I see waves being born and then waves dying. But in and through all that, what is the constant factor? What is the constant factor which is there in the wave? What is a constant factor which is in the entire ocean? If I can understand that really well, then I can understand that even in the world, as I'm going through experiences, experiences are like these waves. Okay? Experiences, actually, the wave can be used in so many different ways for us to understand. Starting with experiences. Experiences, we get into, like, as soon as, now it's early morning for me, it's about 7:15. And pretty soon the entire day is going to unfold. And throughout the day, there's going to be so many experiences which is going to go through it. Now, in and through every experience, the experiences are starting off taking birth, and the experiences will also die. But in and through, what is the constant factor? How did I identify myself as the subject in the experience? Going back to our self-unfoldment days, we know that in any experience, we have what we call this as the subject who's going through the experience. Then we have the object which I'm experiencing and the process of experiencing, correct? So we have the subject, object, and the experiencing part of it. So too in my day, I will go through this, and so too, so the way the ocean and the wave are great examples to tell me that in and through my day, these experiences, they come and they go. And the question is, how much am I identifying with those experiences, and how much am I allowing that to affect me? So this is the part that we have to really think about. So, even as we think about this, the ocean and the wave example, we have, if every wave, now this is where I said the wave can be looked at in many different ways. One is the experience, but we can also look at the experience, the wave as the jiva. Okay, the jiva takes birth, the jiva grows throughout the life of 70 to 100 years, whatever the lifespan is, and then the jiva dies also, right? So jiva is alpagnya. It is very fleeting. Okay, it is actually has very limited knowledge. It is alpa shakti. Alpa shakti doesn't has compared to the entire world, this has very little amount of shakti. And alpagataha, which is the presence itself, jiva is present only for a short time. Now, compared to that, here you have Ishvara, who's Sarva Shaktiman, and Sarva Shaktiman means basically, uh, really full of a lot more omnipotent. And then Sarvagnya, full of knowledge, complete knowledge. And Sarvagataha is all pervasive. So this is how we look at the comparison of Jiva and Ishvara. And so Jiva and Ishvara, they seem to be totally different, but in reality, the difference is only in the size itself, or what we think. It's actually, this is where the interesting part comes is, do we identify ourselves as a jiva, or do we identify ourselves as Ishvara? This is the big transition that we need to start thinking about having is in here. So this connection
Can we
is what,
say, I have a question.
yeah.
Can we say Jiva is part of Ishvara?
We can start off initially by saying that Jiva is not part of Ishvara. Okay. For example, we can always think, and this is actually very humbling experience for all of us, which is if I think that I am part of Ishvara, or if I think I am Ishvara, sometimes I can get very proud, saying that, okay, I know everything, I am this, I'm that, right? But if we start off with Jiva as not being part of Ishvara at all, then what will happen is I will always look up to somebody who is far superior than me. Okay. So that is what the Dvaitam, when we talk about the philosophies in Vedanta, uh, uh, which is Dvaita, Visishta Dvaita, and Advaitam. Okay. In Dvaitam, I regard Ishvara as never part of Ishvara. Jiva never part of Ishvara. But then what you pointed out, Gita, right now is Jiva part of Ishvara? Yes, Jiva is part of Ishvara. And again, all this we have to think about is it is in our mind. Okay. Ultimately, it is only our mind that is causing all these differences, and it makes us think that we are quite different. Okay.
Is
So,
it similar to we saying wave is different from ocean, or wave and ocean are same? Something.
right. Exactly. Exactly. I can always, when I'm looking at the ocean, my mind may be focused only on the waves. I'm looking at the big wave coming, and I want to take my surfboard and surf on the biggest wave. My mind is only on that wave. At that moment, I'm not thinking about the entire ocean, right? So you're right. I can look at the same wave and ocean and have a different mindset. So ultimately, our Vedantam is not that, as Mami also would say, right? It's not as if we are growing horns or there's suddenly a glow at the back. When we had Kmart, the blue light special, it's not as if there is a blue light which comes in front of me. None of those things. It's not that. Everything is still the same for all of us. I mean, even with the way I interact, the transformation is interior. Internally, I am going through the transition where I'm no longer thinking that I am this Alpa Shakti. Alpa Shakti means I can only do so much. Um, and this is a very powerful thing because if I know I can do anything, then I will never be afraid of any obstacles, right? Alpagnya, I have so much, I have only limited knowledge. Oh, I'm so insecure. Insecurity is one of the biggest issues now, right? And if I understand that I am actually much, much bigger than I think, so that's what this whole thing is teaching, you know? So, does that, I don't know if I'd answered your question, Geeta, but so,
No, I'm trying to understand. Yes.
yeah, sure. So, in this last six chapters, we will understand, as I said, this connection between the wave and the ocean, or me with the entire world, and also the sadhana. What are the sadhana that I need to know? What do I need to do in order to cleanse myself so that I can understand this better? For example, even now, when you pointed out this thing about if I'm in front of the ocean and I continuously think I'm only the wave, I'm only the wave, I'm only the wave, what is it that is making me think about it? It's actually my own vasanas, my own dirt that I've accumulated over a period of time, which makes me think I'm separate from the others. So I need to work on it. How do I work on it? Is by practicing certain values. And that is one which we'll be, of course, coming to it very beautifully very soon. Those values which will allow us to think that we are different. So, essential one is Jnana Yoga and Gunas. These are the things that we'll start be looking at all the way. Krishna starts in 13th chapter with Amanitvam, Adhamitvam, those 20 shloka, 20 values. In 14th, we will get some of this, 15th, 16th, 17th. In 16th, we come across this Daivi Sampatti and those kind of values. And all this will be highlighted here. So now let's go on to the chapter 1, shloka 1 of this chapter 13th. Okay. So this, interestingly, if you look at um, our, how many verses do you think Bhagavad Gita has?
700?
700, exactly. So
700.
700 shlokas are there. And in chapter 13, we have 34 shlokas. Okay. But you will see in some books, there is one added verse. And because of that, Bhagavad Gita is 701 or 35 verses in chapter 13. And this is the reason is we have a great Mahatma called Madhusudan Saraswati. Now, this is attribute, the shloka 1 is actually attributed to Madhusudan Saraswati, who is a great devotee of Lord Krishna and who has written the entire commentary for Bhagavatam. And so he, so this is not even there in Mahabharatam. The shloka is not in Mahabharatam. It was written much later because Madhusudan Saraswati kind of wanted to make it simple for us. Because as you go through the entire chapter 13, you will see a lot of technical terms being introduced and you'll wonder what is the connection between all of them. So he wants to set the stage by saying, hey, you're going to read some of this terminologies. So so he introduced this thing as if Arjuna is asking, so the verse starts with Arjuna Uvacha Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajñameva cha Etadvetum Etadveditumichhami Etadveditumichhami Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava Jnanam Jneyam cha Keshava. So, in some sense, you can look at this as the shloka as if it's the entire contents of chapter 13. Okay, it kind of lays the stage to say that these are essentially the terminologies that we'll be looking at: Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, and Jneyam. Okay, so this is the six things which we will look at. So Prakriti, I think many of you are already familiar with this terminology, Prakriti, which means, matter, anything. So among, like, even if you want to, sometimes we look at earth as Prakriti, right? So anything which is matter is Prakriti. And this actually, it's a common term which is used in Sankhya philosophy. And Purusha is the spirit, a spirit, or what is it that enlivens this matter. For example, I mean, if I look at this phone would be of no use to me if it was only a fancy gadget with all these buttons and apps and all that, app buttons. But what is it that makes the app work for us? So there is something that sort of makes the app work. Otherwise, it's nothing but pure matter, right? So that is what that spirit basically means, Purusha. Then Kshetram. Kshetram, you can look at it as a field, a field, and then Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. Okay. Now, the first one seemed kind of simple. I mean, Prakriti and Purusha. Okay, I can understand a phone and what is making the phone. But Kshetram and Kshetrajna is a little more deeper. So, Kshetram is the field, which in some sense you can also look at it as Prakriti. And then Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. And this word we will be focusing a little more, as I said last week. Etat veditum ichhami. So Arjuna is saying, these two, please tell me. And in addition, I also want to know what is jnanam and jneyam. Okay. Even though jnanam, typically we look at it as knowledge, what he's referring to here is jnanam as in an instrument of knowledge. For example, again, this phone is an instrument of knowledge, but Jnayam is the knowledge itself. So Jnanam and Jnayam, I want to know. Okay, the object of knowledge. So these are these are the six terminologies. So we have six terminologies which is listed here: Prakritim, Purusham, Kshetram, Jnanam, and Kshetram and Kshetrajna, Jnanam, Agneyam. So if you look at this is how it is broken down in the whole chapter 13. You will see Kshetram being discussed, of course, in verse 2 elaborately, but then it is touched upon again in Shloka 6, 7, 27 through 35. So Kshetram and Kshetrajna, this is where we spend a lot of time. And then because these terminologies have been introduced, you have also some of the later on verses which talks about Jnanam, Neyam, Prakritim, and Purusham in Shlokas 3, 13 to 18, 20 to 22, all this. So this is the essentially what Arjuna is asking. And so let's look at what all these are. Okay. So that's basically also Shloka 1 is nothing but an introduction which we are looking at. So now we will go a little more deeper, but I just want to point out in here, when we look at Kshetra, so among the six terminologies, he will actually start to work on the word Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Okay. Now, why is that, you may ask? Well, Kshetram basically represents the entire material universe. Okay. When I say material universe, we immediately think about whatever I'm seeing outside of me. For example, I'm sitting in this office here, I'm seeing In front of me, a chair, I'm seeing in front of me a sofa, I'm seeing a window, all that, right? Now, kshetram is not just all these things which are outside me. And let's say if I had a window in front of me, okay? And from the window, I'm looking at all that. Now, kshetram includes the window and all the objects which is outside me. Now, let's take this concept a little closer. When I think of what is the window from which I am looking at the world, what would you say? What would you say is the window from which I am looking at this entire world?
The instrument which helped you to see
The instruments, which one, Chandra?
the instrument which helps you to see the whole world,
Okay, like
through
for
which
example,
you are using the way.
right.
Eyes,
So,
can we say our eyes?
yes, so that's what I was coming to. When Chandra said it's the instruments through which I'm seeing the entire world, one may say a telescope is that instrument, correct?
Yeah.
Now, a telescope itself, if I, let's say I'm wearing my glasses, okay, then I would say my telescope is the instrument. I will also say my glasses are an instrument. If I look at it a little more deeper now, my eyes are also an instrument. Okay, so this is what Krishna is going to bring us to, because we are so outward looking people and we are so much interested in only what is going on outside. We forget many times that our own body is nothing but part of kshetram. Okay, and this is very important because we look at our physical body along with the eyes and our body itself, which we spend so much amount of time really working on this physical body, the amount of insurance we pay, the amount of shopping we do, the amount of eating we do, all this is because we are looking at the kshetram as outside. We are not looking at kshetram as my physical body. Okay, so this is very, very, this is why in shloka number 2, when he's trying to define what kshetram is, he will spend a lot of time in at first going straight to the thing saying that, do you know who you are? And that's why my questions in the beginning was, do you know who we are? We immediately look at ourselves as this entire assemblage, including the physical body, as me. But actually, this entire physical body is also part of something um, which has no life. Actually, when I look at things outside, when I look at the phone, when I look at sofa and all that, I look at those things as if it has no life. Actually, correct? So, but then when it comes to
Also
myself,
Kshetram. So our
what is
body is also Kshetram.
our body is also Kshetram. That is where he is coming to. And so that is why we will. So he says, idam shariram kaunteya, idam shariram kaunteya, kshetramityabhidhiyate, kshetramityabhidhiyate, etadyo एतद्यो वेति तं प्राहुः एतद्यो वेति तं प्राहुः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः क्षेत्रज्ञ इति तद्विदः. So he immediately, I mean, of course, he could have explained, he could have gone through that step by step, saying that something which is totally outside you is the field, just like a farmer and the field, right? The farmer goes into the field where the field has all the paddy and the water and the fertilizers, and he thinks that is a field. Now, here, Krishna starts immediately to explain to Arjuna, think about the body itself as a kshetram. Okay? That is the field of experience. I probably should have brought my BMI chart, but those of you who can remember the BMI chart, okay, there you see where the body, or in that case, actually, it is the jiva takes on different roles as the perceiver, feeler, thinker, and interacts with the world in of objects and thoughts and everything, right? So that is the kshetram in which this physical body is acting. So it is the total upadhi, if you wish, and this total upadhi is what he will be referring to in this shariram. So it's actually this field. Kshetra is a kind of a metaphor for this entire body system. Just like we take the agricultural land, and there's this famous quote, as we sow, so we reap, right? So too for all of us in this physical body, we are so involved with so many different actions through which we get all these experiences. And in all this, we are doing these actions because of which our entire kshetram, which again, kshetram is this physical body, and this physical body, along with, of course, the mind, intellect, everything, all that is nothing but kshetram. Okay. The other way to look at it, maybe I think I have one slide where I want to say that how the kshetra is also something which is perishable. Anything that is perishable, okay, anything which has a finite lifetime, think about that as the kshetra. Okay.
Then how can mind be kshetram?
Mind is also perishable. Mind is, in the sense, it is perishable in the sense the mind travels from one physical body to another one when it dies. Okay. Now
So
this is it.
jiva is also perishable.
The jiva, in the sense of the jiva, is made of five parts, which is the body, mind, intellect. Then there is what we call this as a reflection, chidabhasa. Chidabhasa is a reflection of the consciousness and the pure consciousness. That are the five parts of jiva. Okay. Now, in these five parts of jiva, what is perishable? The body is perishable, the mind is perishable, the intellect is perishable. Then the reflection is also perishable because the reflection needs a medium in which it can be reflected. Okay. So, if the body, mind, and intellect is perished, what is there to, so the reflection is also gone. Finally, what is left is the consciousness principle. Okay. So, I know that we diverted a little bit, but I just, since you asked the question,
No, I got it. Thank you.
yeah. So kshetra means a field. Now, kshetragnya is the knower of the field. That is one who knows himself as distinct from the field itself. So going back to the definition of jiva, what you asked, if I have to look at it, the consciousness principle is the kshetragnya. Everything else which is perishable is the kshetram. So it is this interaction of the kshetragnya with the kshetram which leads to a lot of the confusion and the identification. So the identification of that consciousness at the level of the body, mind, intellect, and taking on different roles is what causes the issues in the world. So Krishna in this shloka is trying to tell Arjuna, so know very clearly what is the field, know very clearly who is the knower of the field. And he says, Tatvidaha is the people, the Mahatmas, they know what is the difference, and they know that there is, at the end of the day, that there's only one Kshetrajna and everything else is nothing but very, very illusory. And when I say illusory, for example, if I can take on a role of I am the consciousness, okay, and everything else, my interaction with the world happens because I identify myself with my physical body and my roles, and I go through some experiences, all that is nothing but an illusion. That is very illusion that is caused because of avidya or ignorance, which causes me to think that I am this Sunitha, which causes me to think that Sunitha with a certain position, all that. So, in that sense, that this shloka is powerful because he says the great Mahatmas, Tat Vidaha, they know what the connection is between the Kshetram and the Kshetrajna, and they know this ultimate knowledge. So that is what he's trying to bring in here. And so the Kshetrajna, like I said, they are, we can skip this. I will. So um, ultimately, so just to show that this is the, I think I went through it already. So Kshetram, and this is what I wanted to mention. Kshetram, that is this world, everything what I'm in, starting from my physical body. So this example that I gave on when I'm looking through the window outside, which is again is an analogy for my physical body. So this physical body, along with everything that I'm seeing, this one, it is it undergoes degradation or kshiyate. So kshiyate iti kshetram. So how do I define what is kshetram? Kshetram is that which everything leads to degradation or destruction. So that is the one meaning of this one, that it is decay or destruction. So kshiyate iti kshetram, kshetatvat, all these are words which basically is trying to say that you know, is perishing. For example, I think I remember reading in listening to an old Deepak Chopra's thing where he was saying about how all the cells in our body every 7 years or something, we get a completely new set of cells. We don't even know what's that we are going through this, but still we get attached to the notion that this is who I am. In our mind, this is what we think. So that's Akshiyate Kshetram. So Kshetram includes the mind, the body, and this entire world. It's not just something which is outside me. The minute I know that Kshetram includes my mind and body also, then I will start to not have that much of an attachment to this body because I know this body is going to die one day. And so, why would I spend a lot of time trying to get closer and closer to this thing which is decaying? It's like, for example, my phone. I mean, I know my iPhone, there are so many upgrades. I still have the i12, which works really well for me. But if I'm the kind of person who wants to change the phone, i13, 14, 15, um, then my mind would be always focused on something which is always decaying and disintegrating and all this, But that's the way we are leading our life today. And that is why the question I brought up is we are leading our lives today by focusing only on things which are degrading, you know. Now comes the more important thing. So the second one, which is Kshetrajna iti prahuhu, that is what the Mahatmas are saying. Whatever now illumines or whatever brings thing to life. And just as an analogy, my phone is a dead phone if I did not have any charge in it, right? By charging the phone, immediately all the apps starts working, and then the apps, they tend to power up the whole phone system itself. So too for all of us, the apps are like this mind and intellect, So the mind and intellect is the one which is making things happen, but ultimately it is that charge which is making things happen. Okay. So think about it that way for all of us too, for our physical body right now. If I'm speaking, if I'm creating all these actions and all that, it's because of that power, okay, Kshetrajna, which is making me speak, is making my eyes see things. It's making my mind think. It's making my intellect think. If I did not have this power, I would be a dead body right now. Okay. So that is the big difference between a dead body and a living body is the dead body doesn't have that consciousness principle, although consciousness principle is there everywhere, but it is not there to illumine that dead body and make it work. So this is what is called as kshetrajna. And Tatvidaha is all those jnanis who know about them. That is called as kshetrajna. So kshetrajna means basically the consciousness principle. Okay, so without kshetrajna, obviously a kshetram, the physical body itself, is really nothing. So let us look at what is this nature of kshetrajna or consciousness. Okay, there's so much amount of research which is being done in the West on really understanding what this consciousness is. But our rishis have already thought through this and has already, come, they've really come up with a very good idea of what this consciousness is. So according to Vedanta, consciousness is not part of the kshetram. Okay? It is not a product of the body. It is not a property of the body. It is an independent entity. Okay? So consciousness is neither a part of the body, property of the body also. It just, without it, simple examples we have also given up. I mean, I use a phone, but electricity itself, it's because of electricity, the bulb is functioning, electricity, the fridge is functioning, all that. So electricity is independent, but electricity, when it comes in contact with something, it immediately makes it sentient. Okay. So this is the second feature. So consciousness is independent, but when it attaches itself to a physical body or whatever, then it makes it this one. And it is not as if it is focused on only one part of my body, like my brain. Earlier people used to say it's only because of the brain or the heart that the whole body is functioning, right? So in some sense, it is true because they are in control of the processes. But so this is the second feature, it pervades the entire body. The third thing is that it is not limited by the boundary of the body. It is completely pervasive. It is everywhere. Okay? And it will continue to exist even when the body perishes. So that's why I said, Jiva has these 5 elements. Okay, it will continue to exist even when the body perishes. It is eternal. So that is what we mean by saying it is all pervading. And the last point is it will survive even the body is completely unrecognizable or whatever, because the only thing is that the consciousness, it needs a physical body or a mind to function. Okay. Now, so when there is no body or when there is this one, it is difficult to see the manifestation of it. So because the manifesting medium is not there, you will feel that, consciousness is not there. Okay. Just like, for example, in the case of dead body, right? In the dead body, we need that consciousness to power that body. Okay. But that established connection should be there. The consciousness has to attach itself or connect itself to the physical body for it to work. The minute all these processes, so sometimes, we look at this question always comes, what is life? So is life consciousness? Not really, because life is, if you look at it, is really the many processes. It's the process of the heart, it's the process of the five pranas, right? So all these constitute life, and consciousness lends itself to the life processes in order for the physical body to act in the world. So, Kshetrajna, to summarize, is the consciousness principle. Kshetram is everything that is perishable. As simple as that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a
Yes,
question.
yeah, sure. Now, this is my final slide. I just wanted to finish off with this two
Yeah,
shlokas.
finish.
Yeah.
Finish.
No, done.
No. Can we connect life principle to Jiva?
Yeah, yes and
You said
no.
life is not consciousness. I understand.
Life is, for
Conscious.
life to function, consciousness has to be there.
So can we say life is also Jiva? Can we say life
No, because Jiva, as I said, is the five things. In that
okay.
five things, the
Mhm.
Pranamaya Kosha and the Annamaya Kosha, they both together are the ones which functions, and essentially it's the Pranamaya Kosha which we call this as life, you know. Without the Pranamaya Kosha, with Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, and Samana, those five processes, the body will not function.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
yeah. So Jiva is more than that. Jiva is
Above.
more than Pranamaya. No, it is not above. What I meant is, in terms of the composition of what is a Jiva, it is that life which is powered by consciousness, and that life is nothing but Pranamaya Kosha. What is it powering? It is powering the Annamaya Kosha. Okay, this is something which is, if you think about it, our body, do I have to think whether my blood is supplying the materials? Do I have to think whether my heart is beating? Do I have to think if my digestion is going on? All this is automatic. So my physical body, along with pranamaya kosha, is happening all the time. Mind, on the other hand, now directs actions, the physical body. So mind is also part of jiva. Intellect is a rational thing that is also part of jiva. Okay. Vasanas, that is also part of jiva. Now, these five things are only one part of jiva. Okay.
So life is also part of Jiva.
Life is part of jiva.
Okay, I
Yes.
got it. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I made it a little more complicated. I'm trying to
No,
bring
I
some
understand.
logic into it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hari Om, one
Hari Om,
question.
Anand. Yes.
It says the whole world perishes at some point,
Yeah.
which is the Jagat. So, is this, the concept of Kshetra, is it applied to the Jagat, the world, or is it different?
The word Kshetra refers to the world. Kshetra refers to the world, of which our Shariram, individual Sharira, is one small part of it. And of course, the world goes through three types of destruction. One is, of course, the Pralaya, where the entire world, the entire universe goes into the seed form. That is one, that is what probably you're referring to. The other two, of course, is when I go to sleep, right? That is also kind of pralaya. Does that help, Anand? You're
Yes,
muted?
yes. Thank you.
In a smaller scale, sleep is pranaya. Pralaya.
Pralaya,
So
individual,
in a
in an
bigger scale,
individual.
the whole destruction is also pralaya.
Correct,
Mm,
correct, correct.
very good.
Anything else? Okay, if not, we'll stop here. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Hari Om. See you next week.
Hari Om.
Very
Thank you,
Thank
Sunitha
you.
ji.
Thank
Hari
you
Om.
so much.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om. Thank
Very
you.
well,
Thank
very
you.
well.
What is that?
Very well explained, I said. Very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have to stop the live stream.
Yes, I do. Thank you for mentioning it. I don't know where.